Yo, I'm Geda and I'm making a game in solo. And this month I've got a big announcement to share. You probably already know what I'm talking about since you read the video title before clicking, but yeah, it's for real. I've quit my job. Yeah, the one as a technical artist in a game studio where I worked for 10 years to go full-time as a solo indie game developer. And in this special kind of devlog, I'm going to show you how I knew it was the right time for me to make the jump to full-time solo dev. If you've been following this channel, you already know that I've been working on this project for quite a while. The first time I mentioned Silk Road project in a YouTube video was 5 years ago. Back then, I had just dropped a fan game project based on a popular anime to officially start working on Silk Road project. I felt I had built up enough skills to take on a solo dev game for real, and for the past 5 years I've been working on the game, but only on evenings and weekends since I still had a full-time job in a game studio. But not anymore, because at the start of this month I left that studio, a place I'd been at for 10 years, and that's honestly been the best work environment I've had so far in my career. But why did I decide now was the right time to level up, and how do I know it actually is the right time for me? We often hear advice from devs warning people to think twice before leaving a stable job to go full solo. Giving up steady income to bet everything on a personal project is clearly a risky move. So why do I still think it's the right move for me? It sounds obvious when I say it like this, but juggling a demanding side project and a full-time job is mentally exhausting, especially when both are in the same field. Working on a game all day and then another game at night, it drains you. I managed to do it for 5 years, even more if you count the fun game before, but I could feel I was reaching my limit. I had to make a choice between my professional career and my personal project. My heart made the call. Of course, that alone shouldn't be the reason someone drops everything to dive into solo devs without a safety net. You need a plan and some level of preparation to make sure a passion project doesn't become a nightmare. And obviously, I didn't leave my old job on a whim. The idea isn't to quit now and then go job hunting again in 3 months because I ran out of money. Truth is, I've been preparing for this for a long time. I've been lucky to have a stable situation in recent years that allowed me to save money, specifically with this goal in mind. I've wanted to go solo for a long time, and I managed to put aside enough funds to live comfortably for more than a year. The other reason I feel confident about going full-time solo is the state of the project itself. After 5 years of part-time development, I finally have more and more concrete progress to show. My ideas are more precise, the vision is clearer, and I can better anticipate what the project needs. The further I go in development, the more confident I am in the game potential. Of course, that doesn't mean I have zero doubts. I probably will until the game is released, but I've reached a point where I'm ready to bet on myself to make this work. On top of that, I'm now at a stage where the project is easier to show and easier for people to understand. As my artistic direction becomes more refined, I can push the visuals further and share more polished images and videos that catch people's attention. And I've noticed the impact on my social media stats. It's not an explosion of views or anything, but my devlogs are getting way more traction, probably because there are fewer grey placeholder meshes and dummy characters now. All of those reasons combined make me feel like this is the best possible time to take the leap. After more than 5 years working on Silk Road project, I'm still as motivated as ever. The project has come far enough that it now has a solid gameplay foundation and a strong artistic vision, and I've reached a stage where I can communicate my ideas more clearly without asking people to make a huge effort imagining the final project. And I can see growing interest reflected in the stats from my posts. And finally, I've been financially preparing for this step for a long time. Before I talk about what's next for Silk Road project, just a quick reminder that your support really matters. A like and a subscribe go a long way. And if you feel like going the extra mile and adding the game to your wishlist on Steam through the link in the comments, well, then you'd be amazing. I mean, even more amazing than you already are, of course. Anyway, now that I've quit my job, what's next? What's the plan? Between today and the game's release, I see a few big milestones. Step 1, build a demo. Step 2, find funding to finish the game. Step 3, maybe go into early access. And step 4, releasing the game. Now, hold on. Everything I'm sharing here, from the roadmap to the dates, these aren't hard promises. Don't come back in 2 years putting up this video saying, oh, you lied, you said that you're gonna deliver this and that. This is just a direction I plan to take, how I expect things to go and what I've prepared for, but of course it all depends on a bunch of unknowns, like how much funding I'll be able to find or if any. But basically, my first goal is to release a demo, or more precisely, a playable prototype. Something short, maybe around 30 minutes, that lets anyone who plays it a clear idea of what the final game will look like. All on their own, without me needing to stand behind them, explaining every screen, etc. And I'm giving myself 1 year from now to make that happen. The reason I want a playable prototype is because it'll be my main tool to find funding to keep the game going. As for funding, there are a few options. A publishing deal is definitely one. I'd love to partner with a publisher who can help me bring my version to life. Another option is crowdfunding, like through Kickstarters or Patreon. Speaking of Patreon, I already have a page up and running, so if you want to support me there, I would be forever grateful. But crowdfunding has its pros and cons. It gives you full creative freedom and autonomy, but it also demands a lot of discipline. A lot of scams and cash grab projects have tainted Kickstarter, so public trust can be a little bit cautious, but I like to think that the years of monthly devlogs I've shared here and my transparent dev approach could be a big strength if I go to that route. All in all, after the playable prototype, I'm aiming for 2 more years of production to reach a release candidate for a potential early access launch. To be totally transparent, the reason I'm even considering early access is because I see it as a good way to handle Q&A with limited resources. Nothing beats hundreds of players testing your game to help find bugs. The risk, though, is launching in early access too soon with something too unstable, which could backfire badly. A rough early access launch could tank the game's reputation in ways that are really hard to recover from. So for now, it's a path I'm considering, not fully committing to yet. It depends on how development progresses, how much funding I get, or if I land a publisher deal who can handle Q&A internally. So, to sum it all up, here's my vision for the future of Silk Road projects. In about a year, I release a playable prototype to the public. With some luck, it helps me get funding, either from a publisher or through crowdfunding. That lets me keep going for 2 more years to get to a release candidate, maybe via early access. So here you go, world exclusive news, Silk Road product is dropping in May 2028. Okay, just kidding, this video is probably going to age terribly, but at least now you know where I am at and where I'm headed. Before I wrap things up, there's one last important topic when it comes to going full-time solo dev. What if it doesn't work out? No matter how determined or motivated you are, there's always a chance things don't go as planned. And in game dev especially, that chance is pretty high. So I think it's important to think it through and be at least somewhat prepared. In my case, I'd probably go back to working in the game industry. Sure, all the money I put in this year would basically be gone, but it's not that simple. You could look at it as a full year of intense self-training in game dev. And what reassures me is that all these videos and content I'm creating right now will make a great portfolio. I have something truly unique to show future studios. So even if things don't go the way I'd like, I won't be completely stuck. And just knowing that helped me feel more at peace going into this new adventure. And that's it for this devlog. Definitely a special one, since it marks such a major and symbolic step for me. Silk Road project is no longer just a hobby, it's now the project of a lifetime, and I'm betting big on it. I'm genuinely excited for the month ahead, and I can't wait to see just how productive I can be this year. Thanks again for the support, and see you next month. Bye bye.